Producers are sick of sample clearance. Sampling is dead. We're using AI to make our own samples so we don't have to deal with sample clearance. Let me show you how. Just go to sampla.ai, type in your prompt, and then click generate, and instantly I get a sample like this. I can work with that. I don't have to clear anything with anyone. I don't have to split with anybody. I mean, we're making beats. It's not like we're working at Sky Zone. We don't want to deal with other human beings during our process. All right, I like that track, but I want another option. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click remix, and instantly I get another 100% human-free sample. So log in right now if you want a free month to use sampla.ai. Just use the code. I'm just playing. Those are all samples that I made off my last High Society pack. AI is going to replace traditional sampling. I mean, at least that's what the AI bros are saying. Suno just rolled out a sample generation feature, and a certain sample generation platform right now is being heavily promoted by legendary producers, certainly not because they were paid thousands of dollars to do so. No, it's 100% organic, of course. But many folks will say, well, it's great that AI is replacing sampling because sample clearance is awful. And I've said sample clearance is awful, that it's terrible. It's an awful process. I've dealt with backlash for saying sample clearance is awful. And then people say, well, why don't you support AI because you don't like sample clearance? I mean, I don't like getting stuck in traffic, but I also don't support bombing the highway during rush hour. Now consider this, if we replace sampling with AI, then producers don't need to sample old records or learn how to make samples themselves, which means the CEO of Suno was absolutely right when he said,
it's not really enjoyable to make music now.
Because why learn how to play instruments? Why learn chord progressions? Why learn sound design? Why use all those VSTs that you paid for or pirated that are taking up a full terabyte on your hard drive? Why study the great human musicians? Why support your sample making colleagues when you could just press a button and make some antisocial trust fund out of touch boy way richer? And why dig through old records and go on these musical treasure hunts and keep the intergenerational dialogic tradition of black music alive? Why do that? Why learn about different eras of music and their sound when you could just passively sit back and push a button and have way more fun doing that and create something that sounds a lot like sampled music anyway? But I'm going to talk about a legendary producer, one legendary producer in particular. Now, this producer says he supports AI because he has to support AI because AI is just like sampling and he has sampled for his beats before. And so if he didn't support AI, then he would be a massive hypocrite. And I'm talking about will.i.am. He previously said, and I made a video about it, that AI was going to empower people to rise from poverty and a whole bunch of other weird that didn't make any sense.
And the folks that sat in the lap of luxury are now uncomfortable.
Right.
The folks that have been struggling this whole time can now use this technology to finally solve the problems that have always been ignored.
And in this interview that I'm about to watch, he's saying a whole lot, but one thing I don't believe he does say is that he's invested millions of dollars in AI, specifically UDO. Let's talk about this interview.
The bad stuff like AI Slop, but then there's also all sorts of new artists that are emerging and older artists who are using AI on top of it, and where you really think this all heads and how happy or unhappy you are about it.
AI Slop, this is the worst it's ever going to be.
Right now.
Well, it's technology, so technology will continue to get better and better.
So it's the worst as in it's the most crude it's ever been. But when it gets better, it's just going to be indistinguishable from real video. Therefore, it's going to actually get worse, not better, based on the impact it's going to have on people.
But and do you think if any of that music is real? I mean, did you say that like that you're going to give credit to an artist for creating music this way? Do you know what I mean?
Like imagine it's 1970, and we're talking about jazz here.
Right.
A jazz musician would say, "Hey man, what do you think about these samplers that are coming, man? People just sampling our stuff that we did back in the past, man. You think that's music, man? Just sampling stuff, man?" Turns out that that's the form of hip hop.
I love when the AI defenders compare it to sampling. AI is just sampling minus the clearance on a grand scale, exponentially more damaging than anything any individual producer or collective of producers could do.
Right, so I can't be that critical over AI because I have a career sampling music.
You heard what he said.
Songs, people like the songs, like Pump It is Misery Lou by Dick Dale. And I reimagined that and
But you are a human.
Okay, let's talk about, he's calling it Misery Lou. It's a track that he sampled for a song called Pump It for Black Eyed Peas. Obviously, it was a hit. I'm in song view. these are all of the writers and the publishers that own equity in that song. So you see, like here's Fergie, will.i.am, Fergie, Apple, and then here's Rubanis, and look at this, Nicholas Rubanis, and I believe this is pronounced Miserlou. It's a Greek word that came from Arabic. Nicholas Rubanis is purported to be the person who composed the version of this song that will.i.am sampled in Puppet. Now look, this is for the song Puppet. He owns a portion. Guess why? Because they had to clear that sample. Now compare that to AI generated music. Let's go into all of Zanaya Monet's works. She's notorious as a Suno user. All her music is generated by Suno. All the writers and composers, it's all her. Just her. Just Talisa Jones. Just Talisa Jones. No sharing, no sharing. Not a single crumb is given to anybody else, which is crazy when you consider the fact that Talisa Jones herself has never written a song. She writes the lyrics, she pastes them into Suno, generates the song. None of the melodies came from her. None of the chords came from her. None of the progressions came from her. None of the drum programming came from her. That's all from Suno. Where did Suno get it? They got it from scraping tens, if not hundreds of millions of songs that existed already, that they did not get permission for, that they are not compensating the creators and owners of. And so for will.i.am to say, well, I can't really criticize AI because I've sampled is wild. You absolutely can criticize AI, because if you sample in your music and you're paying the people you're sampling and getting permission from them, and AI artists are not doing that and AI platforms are not doing that, then you absolutely can criticize that. There's nothing it's just not comparable. People who defend AI are always trying to compare it to something like auto-tune or sampling. It's not comparable. The scale of the copyright infringement that is happening is absolute, and the corporate backing, there's no comparison.
If it's a machine that's doing it, are they just stealing it, lifting it?
You got to be careful with that.
You do not have to be careful. Very platform that you invested millions in was sued by your record label, the record label that signed your group Black Eyed Peas. The AI platform ended up settling the lawsuit with the label, Universal Music Group, and now they are pretty much non-functional. Even your own record label believes that copyright infringement on a grand scale is occurring from generative AI.
There's a lot of Shakespearean plays that have been reimagined.
I went out, when I was a kid, I went out and bought the first Black Eyed Peas album. I loved it. I listened to it front to back many times. Just because you make great music doesn't mean you're above criticism. You heard what will.i.am just said. He's talking about Shakespeare. Again, these are all the AI argument. If you ever get into an argument with an AI bro on like Twitter, for example, these are all the arguments they're going to throw at you. What about Shakespeare? People lift from Shakespeare all the time. This is all we want. They call us anti-AI. All we want, this would satisfy most AI critics. Just do the bare fucking minimum. Adhere to the current laws that are in place, the current intellectual property laws, copyright laws. That's it. But they can't do that. And let me explain. Copyright law entails a lot of different ideas and provisions and concepts of ownership. One is public domain. When someone creates a copyrighted work, a certain amount of time passes after they die. Their art is now in the public domain, which means no one owns it. Shakespeare was writing in the 16th and 17th centuries. So I'm glad will.i.am brought this up, because this is another terrible analogy. Legally speaking, and this is the bare minimum, just following the laws. These AI platforms can't even do that. They are not following the laws. That's why they're getting sued left and right from multiple entities. Shakespeare's work, he's been long dead. Let the man rest in peace. His works have been in the public domain for longer than any of us have been alive times 3. He died in 1616. Copyright law did not exist in 1616, and even if it had, it would have already passed. Now, because his work is in the public domain, legally, yes, people can create sampled versions of his plot lines and characters, etc., in modern films and plays. And there are some platforms, don't quote me on this, I think Music GPT is one. There are some generative AI platforms that are using public domain music to train their models, which is illegal. Suno couldn't even do that. UDO couldn't even do that. The bare minimum, just sticking to the laws that are already in place, they couldn't even do that. So will.i.am has already compared it to sampling, which is governed by copyright law. He's already compared AI to using public domain works, which again is lawful based on copyright law. But the elephant in the room is the theft. When you have these conversations with AI defenders, they will throw everything, including the kitchen sink, at you as an argument to try to distract you from the core problem.
At the core of AI music is some developer. That's their art.
No, it's not their art. The developer takes art from other people. If the developer were training their models solely on their own art, no one would have an issue with that. There wouldn't be lawsuits.
So you can't discredit their art for creating that algorithm.
Come on.
Right.
Yes, they did borrow from music.
No.
They did train on the entire library that humans have made, and that people should be paid for when you train on that.
But they're not. And the platform that you invested millions of dollars in got sued because they didn't pay.
Because the AI that we're concerned about is not here yet, and that is the AI that's creating just on its own.
How?
Okay, so sentient AI is coming, and that's a concern. So why invest and support the AI right now that is paving the way for this concerning AI? I mean, you're not concerned. Will.i.am is a multimillionaire. He's not concerned about shit right now. In the future, AI starts just creating on its own unprompted. Yeah, he might be afraid because who knows what, like there are a million novels and films written about this. Terminator being one of them.
We're now like sharing the same village agent, the same village AI.
What does that mean?
So I love OpenAI, great company, great product.
OpenAI is a great company.
Those type of services are always going to be needed. You need your own agent. And for you to have your own agent, you need a GPU at the house.
Watch this.
You have a house?
I
You have
do.
a refrigerator?
Yeah.
You have a toilet?
Yep.
You have a sink?
Yep.
You have a stove? Do you have a data center at your
I
house?
do not.
Thank you. Right. Why don't you have a data center at your house? Because you and the concept of us having our own personal agent, that's not the product yet. So what we're teaching our students to build their own agent. Thank you, NVIDIA. Thank you, Jensen, for...
Oh, he's shouting out all the genocidal companies. All right, I've had enough of this. So Will.i.am is saying everyone should have their own AI data center at home. How much does it cost to create a data center at home? Of course, when I Google something, it's just all AI. Building a functional home data center typically ranges from a few $1,000s for a high-end home lab to over $100,000 for a fully specialized AI or enterprise-grade power-dense setup. These are just the initial costs. Yeah, these are the environmental concerns. So think about everyone having this. You just don't give a f about anything if this is what you think everyone should run out and do. And I also remember Will.i.am saying AI is here to empower the poorest, the people living in abject poverty.
So this is an awesome time for people from the hood. Awesome time for people in favelas. Awesome time for people from slums.
So this is good news for someone who's unhoused, has food insecurity, they don't know when they're going to eat next. All you need is a couple $1,000s to set up your own AI data center in the house that you don't own, and boom, you're empowered. Congratulations. I think he's trying to be political here. I think he's looking at his colleagues who have defended AI, and it has been a PR disaster for them. And so he's trying to talk circles around the evils and the problems of AI. He has to because he's already invested into it. In my opinion, this is just the honest answer would be, look, I invested in AI because I just want to make some money. It's making money. These companies are making money. Maybe it's a bubble. Maybe it destroys the environment. Maybe it steals from a bunch of people and makes the world a worse place. But I need to make some money, and I don't really give a fuck what happens, good or bad. Who knows? I don't really know. But that's a terrible answer. That would be really unpopular if people just came out and said it like that. And so they dance around it, and it's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now. And I just hope all of you watching this protect your mind, body, soul, and spirit. I'm just here to keep you updated on the technology that affects all of us, and it is much bigger than pushing a button and generating a fun little song. Be safe. Appreciate you watching. Peace.